Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions. I'm going to illustrate the three that we have on the board and talk about the principles involved. Before I do, let me just mention one reason why it's important to use some kind of manipulative to teach adding and subtracting, or adding especially fractions to children, is because when a child initially learns fractions, everything's totally different from what they originally did, and oftentimes they will do 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 2/5. They add the tops, they add the bottoms, there's the answer. So we need to convince them that 1/2 plus 1/3 does not equal 2/5. And you can do that very effectively with some kind of fraction bars, fraction tiles. So let's just put these two together. I've got 1/2 and 1/3. Just going to put them right after each other. They're added together. And then I can take the 2/5, bring out the 1/5 bar, put it underneath, shade 2/5. And it's very easy to see that 1/2 plus 1/3 does not equal 2/5. It's very important for the children to understand that. And we'll talk more about that when we do teaching math, but it fits in now the idea of what to how to use that. Okay, but let's go back to our idea of adding 1/2 plus 1/3. Let me get the 2/5 off the board so we don't get somebody confused here. Okay. When I'm adding or subtracting fractions, I'm just going to take the two pieces and I'm going to work with those two pieces and then do some comparison. But when I'm adding, we're going to do basically what I just did. 1/2 plus 1/3. I'm going to just move the 1/3 up so that it's right after the 1/2, right? And then I have to find out what kind of piece would be the same as that. So let me bring out, a blank, and it really doesn't matter what piece you use, but I'm just going to bring out a blank bar that's divided into halves. Okay, so now we can look at this. We know that the answer is less than 1 because the green and yellow shaded part together does not go as far as the end of the whole bar. Okay? We know it's more than 1/2, but we already knew that. So let's start dividing it into pieces. Okay, it's not going to come out even with fourths because here's where the 3/4 line is, and this is a little bit past that. Right, let's divide it again. Right again, okay. Now I have it divided into sixths. You can see that there are 6 little divisions on the bar. And let's start shading because that looks like it might work. So let's shade. That's the problem. It won't shade that. So we'll just have to, we'll use our pen and we will shade the sixths until we get these two lines match up to each other. It's not absolutely perfect because this line's just a little bit bigger because of the adding. But you can see that 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 5/6. You can also, at some point, once the children have learned how to do it this way, talk about what it means to get a common denominator, how that makes sense. If we divided this one, we would get 3/6. If we divided this one, we would get 2/6. And then we can add them together quite easily. So you can also use it to talk about common denominators. In this lesson, we're just going to learn how to manipulate the fraction pieces and determine what the answer is without getting common denominators. All right, so there's 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 5/6. Okay. Let's get rid of our fraction bar at the bottom. Let's erase our shading. Subtraction It's very similar. I'm going to take my 1/2 and my 1/3 again. Oops, I got one more I can't done. Okay, let's move this out of the way. In this case, what we're going to do is we are going to compare them, and we're going to see, what we want to know is how much more, what could we call this green piece that's extra beyond what the yellow is? In other words, I've taken away the part that's common, and I want to know what the name of that piece is that would be sticking out. I'm going to do the same idea as I just did, only this time I'm going to bring out 6 because I know it's 6ths. But you could use any piece you wanted. Bring it out, line it up underneath, okay? Oops, and you can stay there. Okay. Now we can shade. Let's shade. Okay. Let's shade as much as there is in the green. All right. Now, what kind of piece would be representative of just this extra green piece? Well, the yellow is equivalent to 2 of the red pieces, which, oops, and shade, okay, which we could prove by bringing this down here if we wanted to, but the yellow is equal to 2 reds, so to subtract that, I had 3 reds, and take away 2 reds, I erased the whole thing. Okay, I'm not doing well here. Take away 2 reds. I'll shade again. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if I can take away from this end, but we'll see. Nope. All right. Right. But you can see that this green piece is equivalent to 1 of these little pieces. Therefore, the answer to 1/2 minus 1/3 is 1/6. And again, you could teach the idea of common denominators. We kind of did. The green piece was equal to 3/6. The 1/3 was equal to 2/6. And when I subtract them, at that point it's fairly obvious that I have 1/6 left. Okay. So adding and subtracting is basically putting them together and then comparing them to a unit, a whole bar, to see what the answer would be. Right? Let me just move this guy out of the way here for a minute. Okay, I want to do 3/4 plus 2/3. Okay, so get this guy, get rid of him. All right, and let's bring out a 3/4 bar. Bring out the 4ths bar and shade 3 parts of it. Okay, I've got 3/4. And I've got 2/3 now. When I add, I'm just going to move them to be together. Okay? And I'm going to compare. And what I know is that it's going to take at least 1 whole bar and some more to do it. So let's bring out the whole bar, actually, without pieces for a minute. Okay. We know that it's longer than 1 whole bar. I could know that just by putting it here, that we can see that that blue part is going to cover up more than just that unshaded part of that bar. So we know it's going to equal more than 1. I have 1 whole bar. Then I'm going to bring another bar underneath of it. Okay. Doesn't look like 6 is going to work. Let's try cutting them in half and see. And it looks like 12ths is going to work. You can see this, the end of the blue line comes right to this middle line here. So we can count up. We know we have 12 pieces in the whole bar. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them to get to the end of the blue. Therefore, the answer is 1 whole bar and 5 pieces out of 12, or 5/12. So adding and subtracting fractions is basically making those fractions, putting them together, and or putting them next to each other, and comparing what you get with a different fraction piece.